Yeah, I try to make this as quick as possible. I'm hearing people talk about the demonetization of videos on YouTube, so I just wanted to get into that quick. What is it about? Is it about censorship? Yes, it's about censorship. Is it about trying to make things universally friendly, to gain more revenue and to charge more premiums as opposed to, having to have more lawsuits and getting a smaller portion of the pie and having advertisers that don't want to deal with YouTube? Yes, it's about that. I mean, think about it. If you had a business and you had people on there and you gained popularity, but now it was time to, try to gain a bigger market share as far as the advertising revenue is out there, what would you do? Now, for the creators out there that are suffering for this, it is a problem. But it causes folks to have to adapt. It causes folks to have to change, to look at things differently, to learn how to monetize it outside of YouTube, because that's really what's going to happen. And that should have been something that folks had in mind anyway. Of course, you go to YouTube because you get traffic, things are driven there. But to learn how to have influence on what you do automatically creates a monetization to you, for you, that YouTube can't take away. Because let's say you do have the same influence that you have on Facebook, that you have on YouTube, or on Snapchat, on Instagram, on Twitter. If you can take that influence or whatever you're doing, that excitement, that news or that content, and have people engage and active in what you're doing, it creates a situation where you don't have to depend on one particular brand. Even if you have your website or something like that, or a platform that you set up, and that's one of the things that folks fear more than anything. But if you're going to use their platform, there have to be certain rules and certain guidelines, because legally they have to be protected. So legally, YouTube is trying to protect themselves from certain things that they have to deal with. And then also too, they're trying to, increase revenue, because people forget about YouTube. YouTube is owned by Google. Google is owned by Alphabet. What does that all have to mean or do with anything? These are publicly traded companies, and publicly traded companies have investors, public or private, and they have quarterly reports and things that they file. So at the end of the day, this is a business. They're in it to make money, and they're going to do whatever they have to do to maximize their profits. And YouTube has to answer to Google. Google has to answer to Alphabet. Alphabet has to answer to the investors on a publicly traded stock exchange. So it comes down to them protecting their interests and doing what they have to do in order to meet their bottom line and their agenda and do things. So a lot of these things that happen to the small folks are the cost of doing business. Not to say that it's right, but it is something that happens because this is the process, and these are the things that have to take place behind the scenes in order for somebody like YouTube to remain profitable. So for the creators, what does that mean? You do what you have to do in different veins of venues or platforms to remain profitable for you. Treat it like a business all the way, even if you start off as a passion, even if you're doing it for free. At some point, the monetization in different avenues and areas has to be prevalent and key. You have to think to yourself, what if there was no YouTube tomorrow? What if there was no Snapchat or Facebook or whatever? Look at MySpace. Look at how that happened. At one point, Yahoo used to be the big player. So things change. So this is an opportunity for those that know how to survive, to adapt and change and grow and step up to the plate to this, ever-changing market, which is the internet. Because the internet isn't even 30 years old yet. It's still young. It's still a wild, wild west. It's still what people are trying to figure out. So we don't know what the next thing is going to be tomorrow. YouTube is a player in the game, a major player, and maybe tomorrow. But there may be other major players and other ways to make sources of revenue as time goes on. So it's about always adapting and learning the market and new techniques and trying to do things to survive and do things to sustain. And to survive, one of the things that we have to do, is to learn to adapt. So YouTube is not the end all, the be all. It is something where people have influence and make money and do things that are nice and kind and sweet and, even offensive or whatever. But in order to survive, doing what you do, the creator out there, the one that's on mid-level, lower tier, You have to adapt. You have to learn the market. You have to change. You have to strategize. You have to learn to promote and brand and sponsorship and all those different things that folks do to reach the higher level, to reach another platform, to reach influence or a greater market, understanding your niche, understanding your product, engaging your fans, your subscribers, your customers, learning to negotiate, learning those things that's conducive to conducting business and also putting out quality content. And that's my 2 cents. Hopefully you like, you subscribe, you watch, you don't watch. I'm out.